Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to WCS Winter's Round 8, Day Number 2. We're here in the round robin, ready to see who's going to be making to the offline playoffs and who is going to get knocked out. Two players that will not be advancing on today, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined here bright and early by Nathanius. How you doing?
Holla holla. I'm doing great, man. Life is good. I got that extra 30 minutes of sleep today. Changed my life.
Yeah. And you got here super on time. Jeff and I a little bit late.
That's right.
Had trouble finding a ride to the studio.
I prioritized getting my coffee. Turns out there's not that many people driving around Sunday mornings in LA.
You definitely seem a lot more alert when you get your coffee.
Yeah. I'm cripplingly addicted to caffeine. What can I say? Like most people on this planet, it's good stuff. But yeah, lots of good games coming up today as well. And today's the day where all of the stakes, we see them come out to their final form.
Exactly. Now, if you're not familiar with how WCS Winter works and kind of what Nathanius is talking about, well, let's go over the format really quickly. So WCS Winter, we started off with 32 players at the very beginning of all this. They managed to qualify through ladder qualifiers, through online qualifiers, etc. We put them in a bunch of group stages, and we narrowed it down to 16 players, put them in another group stage, narrowed it down to 8 players. Now, in this stage, we have a round robin. So every single one of these players are playing versus every single other one of these players in each one of their respective regions. Only 6 players, though, are going to be able to advance on to the playoffs. And that means that playoffs, that offline finals where all the players are going to fly on in, they need to get in the top 6 placements in terms of their score for the round robin in order to get a chance at that money, in order to get a chance at that offline finals.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot at stake here. The players have been going on. WCS Winter's been we've taken our time with it. You know, it's definitely been one of the longer events that we've had in WCS history.
What is it, like January to the almost like middle of April or beginning of April?
Yeah, and it's not even just like we spaced it out a lot. Like there's been a lot of broadcasts that we've had for this. The players have gone through an extremely grueling process to get this far. So it's kind of cool. We're getting close to the end.
Ooh, and that end is actually one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most because it's not a bracket like you've really ever seen before. If you guys take a look, it is a King of the Hill style format in terms of that playoff.
Battle Royale format.
Battle Royale, another way to phrase it. But the way that this works is if you get the #1 seed in the round robin, you can seed it straight to the grand finals. If you get the #2 seed, you're in the semifinals, and of course, so on and so forth. The 5th and 6th seeds are going to have to play against each other, but then the winner of that plays versus the 4th seed. The winner of that plays the 3rd seed, all the way to the grand finals.
So finishing in last place, but still getting out of this group, leaves you with a lot of work to do.
Yep, and it's a really cool way to just give an extra reward. It's like getting a bye for every single extra match you win in the round robin.
In a way, if you finish in the 5th or 6th seed, you have to do the whole round robin again to win, right?
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, round robin minus like 2 players who get knocked out.
Yeah, minus the worst 2 players.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite thing actually was the Americas player, Estrella, was telling me, you know, I don't want to make it out in 1st place. I want to make it out in 5th or 6th place because then I get more camera time, I get to play more matches, and I just get to meme around even more. I'm like, that's an interesting strategy,
do his
buddy.
Sponsors pay him for screen time? Is that how this works? Not for victories? Like,
I think he has a bunch of celebrations and memes he has prepared, but he's still got to make it there.
Okay.
And of course, if you do make it there, there's a pretty awesome amount of prize money on the line. $60,000 per region, so that's $60K for Europe, $60K for Americas, totaling up to $120,000 on the line for WCS Winter, $12,000 for 1st place, and $1,600 for any players that get knocked out in 8th place during the group stage. So everyone that's made it this far has already earned themselves a good chunk of cash, as well as, of course, a few WCS points.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. You could get yourself, I think $12,000 gets you like one of those torn T-shirts that the celebrities sell with their names on them for no reason. Ooh. You know what I mean?
Maybe. You know, I really do actually value things in tacos, so that's the one that resonates with me.
That's true.
We've had this conversation. Do they really cost $12,000? You're actually blowing my mind.
The amount
right
of
now.
things you can waste money on in this
How
world
much would a ripped
amazing.
Nathanius T-shirt cost?
Ooh, well, it wouldn't be ripped. The sleeves would be cut off,
okay.
But it would be. I think we could settle for like $22.99. That's a fair point.
$22.99.
Yeah. No, I'm
like
not a
$22.99 or $2,200.
I'm not Kanye level white T-shirt for like $800. That's not me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well, that's a good discount. I'm looking forward to that sale on your page sometime. But, of course, guys, if you're interested in seeing what matches we have lined up for us today, you can first check out these players that we're going to be playing today. In case you missed out on day number 1, these are the standings. Reynor currently sitting 4-0, undefeated right now. But his first match, by the way, is going to be versus Serral, who's sitting in second place at a 3-1 score. So that's going to be Serral's opportunity to try and upset things a little bit. Serral did drop a series versus Hero Marine yesterday. And, of course, we have all the rest of the players doing fairly well. Rail still struggling to get that first victory. It's going to be very important for him to get those extra victories now, because if he doesn't win a couple of matches today, then that's going to be him knocked out 8th place. He's not going to make it to those playoffs.
Yeah, he pretty much needs to win out here, and he needs the other players that were occupying that 7th through 5th spots to basically lose out, which is not impossible, but it's still going to be pretty hard to do.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's in a situation where he might be able to guarantee himself to advance if he wins all 3 of the matches today that he has to play, but that's also a rough ask. He's still playing some very good players.
I'll bring out the football lingo here. He may no longer be in control of his own destiny.
But of course, guys, the players that are going to be playing on this stream today, let's take a look. I already mentioned Raynor versus Serral, probably one of the most hype matches of the day. Rematch from WCS Montreal. That's going to be a fun one.
Dude, we start with like the most hype match. I love it.
Yeah. And then following that up, we're going to be going into a Protoss versus Terran of Petit Drogo facing off versus Hero Marine. Another pretty solid match. And the last match, we don't actually know yet, because you know what? We're leaving a little bit extra space. We're going to find out what that match is.
It's possible that we, because obviously we know a lot of you guys like to see the big name players or the guys that are up the top, but it's possible that our final match ends up being, if there's like a really close decider series between, like maybe a Rail and one of these other guys, then we'll probably try to bring you that. We'll try to find the match with the most stakes. So we're not going to tie ourselves down and commit to anything until we know what the best match would be. We're not doing it because we're nervous. We're doing it because we love you.
Yeah, only the finest price stakes for you guys. But these stakes are pretty high over here. For first place in the group, potentially, Reynor versus Serral.
Yeah.
And of course, these guys both still have a few matches left over.
Man.
Really got you with that one done.
I'm so hungry now. It's terrible.
Unfortunately, steak places are not open at 5 in the morning.
Can't get steak delivered at 7 a.m.?
It's a little bit dicey, yeah.
Oh, well.
Maybe like 4 hours ago, you could find a place that was like still open super late. Oh, sad state of affairs. But this is going to be a super duper hype match, guys. Reynor versus Serral. Again, it's a rematch from WCS Montreal's grand finals, where Reynor was able to take Serral the full distance 4-3.
Yeah.
Serral still won out in the end. And this is the kind of the funny thing. There's so much hype around this match. Reynor has never beaten Serral before. Like, in no tournament match has Reynor ever beaten Serral.
Nope.
And actually, that Montreal finals is pretty much the only time he's actually even come close to it. But there's still so much hope for Reynor coming up as a player lately.
The group implication for this match is big, too. Raynor's currently undefeated. He's going to clinch himself maybe like a top 3 spot if he starts 5-0 in this group. And if Serral wins, then they're actually both tied. So the rest of their games are still very important to see who gets seeded into the grand finals.
Exactly. And I'm super looking forward to this, because I know that Reynor specifically said, and this is like the opposite side of what, say, a player like Lambo is actually telling me, which is Lambo is saying, it's Serral. Are you really going to invest that much time preparing for Serral? Because really, your time is probably better spent preparing for some of the other guys that you have a better chance against. Raynor's like, no. I spent a bunch of time preparing for Serral. I have some builds planned. I have some strategies specifically tailored to Serral. He's ready for this.
No. Reynor, like a young Bruce Willis, charges towards the astronaut. Towards the asteroid. Not away from it, Fear Dragon. Not away from it.
Do you even know what year that movie came out? Armageddon?
I think it was while I was alive.
I'm just imagining like all the people who were too young to see that movie, and then just all of these references you're making this weekend.
You're telling me there's people watching the stream that have never seen Wayne's World either? Don't be ridiculous, Fear Dragon. Don't be ridiculous. ridiculous.
I mean, this is the reason, guys, why we have breaks. But of course, I think one thing we didn't actually go over is the fact that there are a bunch of other streams going on. Now, I know we mentioned
there's a lot of games happening while this one is happening.
Yeah, twitch.tv/zombiegrub, twitch.tv/wardy with 3 eyes, because for some reason he decided to have 3 eyes in his name. Wow, who does
Did he have
that?
the choice to have 1 eye? We need to get. We need
Wardy
a man or
has been
woman
a
on the field
commentator.
to do some investigative journalism for us. Why the 3 eyes? Wardy has been casting StarCraft, which is one of the oldest games on Twitch. How did he not get a username with 1 eye?
And he has been casting since some of the early
That's what I'm
2011,
saying.
2012 days.
All
He
the
had
StarCraft
time.
people got whatever username they wanted because we were first. We beat everyone to the punch.
You know what my favorite part is? He didn't grab Wardy with 3 eyes on Twitter. He got Wardy TV on Twitter. So he just has all kinds of problems with his branding. And of course, the last channel, by the way, Base Rate TV. If there are any other matches that you want to watch that are going on right now that
then
aren't
open
Serral
all of them
branded,
at the same time.
that's what you should be doing.
That's
But
what
if
you
you
should
don't
be
have the bandwidth for it, then open up your phone instead.
You know, some people like to put gold statues in their homes to honor those who they worship. To honor us, open all the StarCraft streams at the same time. And
Open all the StarCraft streams.
You got your
buy
phone,
buy that
iPad
shirt for
on the desk.
$24.99
Yeah,
at
get yourself
Nathanius.
a cut-off Nathanius sleeve T-shirt, and open as many streams as possible. We're loaded into our first series of the day, though. Thank you for joining us. This is the World Championship Series. In the bottom left, spawning as the red Zerg player, the young Italian. He is Reynor.
And spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player, the Night King. He's already broken through the wall that was Showtime, and he is coming for first place. He is Serral, Team Ents.
There is a really awesome world where Serral wins, and we find out that, like, the final season starts on, like, the last day of WCS Winter, and they're like, well, WCS Winter is over, but, you know, and the million of awful winter jokes that people keep making.
I mean, I'm just
Please
looking
send me
forward.
more terrible winter jokes if you can.
Game of Thrones finale. It's actually, Night King is going to be defeated. He's going to turn back into like a normal human. It's actually going to be Serral.
Yeah.
Boom.
Now, it turns out the final episode is actually to just play a best of 9 on top of like an active volcano.
Jon Snow and Serral play a best of 9.
Well, if an NA players who are sending just skip the season
Well,
now, man.
hey, Jon Snow, remember WCS Montreal? He took the first game versus Serral and almost took the second. And everyone was losing their minds over that because it was a best of 5.
Well, you know, sadly, that universe does not have Rotterdam in it, so I don't think the underdogs win for your dragon.
Just let my boy Jon Snow have one, all right?
I don't think.
We do have a little bit of a difference, by the way, in the builds, and I'd say a little bit. It's actually a good bit
It's
of
a really fast third from Serral.
It's a really fast third, and Reynor not only going for a fast layer, but is using the extra gas that he skipped Zergling's speed with to go for that super fast layer. So he is going to be playing this a little bit more aggressively. He's not actually starting up an evolution chamber wall or anything. Actually, he just threw that in the evolution chamber. So we might be seeing the kind of like the European-style like Roachborn and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could with the lair, I could see it being like fast +1 like roach speed attack. Otherwise, I've always been a fan of like the quick +1 attack for the Lings, and I know that one's considered a little more YOLO because your Lings can't survive being hit by Banelings with those. But some of the players that you see do builds like that, I think they give such fun games when you get to see Lings be more utilized in ZvZ. In the mid game, I should say.
Serral's going to go for his own his own evolution chamber just a little bit later. And this is one of those interesting moments where if Serral identifies what he's up against, and he's already just throwing down the Roachborn. He made an extra round of Zerglings that Reynor kind of skipped out on. But Reynor is going to have the slightly faster +1 missile attack. He's going to have the faster layer, so he'll have roach speed a good bit earlier on. But again, it's going to be about the fact that Reynor skipped out on that third base. He's going to be contained here on these 2 bases, so he's got to take advantage of that and eventually make something happen. But, you know, a lot of the time, these kind of situations can even out, but I love this. So Reynor is doing kind of like the fake out, I'm going to make a ton of roaches on +1 weapons and push out and hit you. No. He's going for the Spire. He's skipping roach speed right now. This is a fake out. And it looks like he's not totally skipping roach speed. He's just going to actually delay it for a bit. but the Muta is going to try and catch Serral off guard.
Yeah, this is a little bit weird to me, mostly because Serral's lair is going to be so late. It's only just now starting. He cannot possibly hope to have Roach speed in time to do one of those, oh, you're going Mutas? I'm going to kill you type attacks, right? So we're in a world where Raynor's going to be able to easily get to Mutas without really any issue at all. Maybe a Nidus Worm follow-up is probably the biggest threat that comes up from Serral immediately after. But Reynor, everything he's putting into the Roach fake out, as you said, I feel like he's still going to commit to the Roaches, or if he doesn't, it could get awkward, just because he doesn't need to do anything fake. Like, he's not under, there's no impending threat, short of a Nidus, but he would have the Mutas before that anyway.
It's also worth noting that in order to also not only just be able to defend against a big Roach counterattack or something, or swelling from Serral, but also to try and sell the story a little bit, I think, and establish a third base. Reynor did make a decent number of Roaches, so he's only going to be able to make 7 Mutalisks. That's going to be good for, say, clearing up some of the Overlords. Maybe he gets a bit of harassment done to one of the middle lines, can pick off like a Queen or something, but this is only going to have a limited period of time. It can get a lot of damage done. Then it's just going to be nice for map control. So
yeah.
Serral, yeah, he's going to realize the Mutas are here almost immediately. Nice timing of that Overseer running on in for Serral. And Serral's going to have time to start up his Spore Crawlers now.
Yep, he immediately gets the, or he's got the Hydralisk Den going up behind this too. So Raynor's not really thinking about committing to this like in a crazy way. Quick question for your Dragon.
What's up?
I actually don't know the answer to this one. Can you use Caustic Spray from a Corruptor onto an emerging Nidus?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I would guess yes, but the Nidus is kind of weird, so...
Would it even be... I mean, obviously DPS is DPS, but would it even really be worth it? You don't really do the damage to Caustic Spray until it really starts to build up. And by the time...
Well, Nidus takes,
builds
what,
up.
17 real seconds to emerge or something?
Oh god, I thought it was like 6 seconds. It feels that way. I'm exaggerating.
I'd say Caustic Spray ramps up after 4 or 7 seconds.
It's like 7 or something.
Yeah.
From my mono battle experience, it is not. It takes a little bit.
Well, from my PvZ experience, Caustic Spray kills a Nexus in about 4 seconds, so...
Yep. I mean, half the time I feel like I lose my Nexus before it even ramps up. Because there's like 25 Corruptors.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a super... I mean, Reynor is just playing crazy tech heavy right now. Lurker Den is already on the way. And just for context, Serral never made anything outside of a Roach Warren. He got up his lair and stuff. He's getting up Overlord speed. It's not like he's even invested in Burrow or Tunneling Cloud. It's just actually Roaches versus Mutas, Roaches, Hydras, and soon-to-be Lurkers.
It's a little bit weird, right? Because he doesn't have anything that gives him a security blanket against the Mutalisks. If he tries to move out across the map, like, the Mutas can just start picking away at the army, especially those juicy, juicy Ravagers. And Reynor has all the tech that he could possibly want. You're right. Not only does he have the Mutas getting map control, but now we have 6 Lurkers being added. And of course, that he has all the Hydralisk stuff to even get here. And Serral didn't like grab a 4th or anything, so even though his 3rd was so much earlier, now Raynor's on the same amount of income, and there's not really, I don't see a tangible advantage here for Serral other than the upgrades. Like, he has the +2, but that is going to be, I think, heavily counterbalanced by the steep tech advantage of Reynor.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think that Reynor actually, maybe this is just going back to the preparation we were talking about, but he may have just identified Serral's reaction to some of the styles of play and stuff and said, oh, I actually think I have time to get up Lurkers if I open up with really fast Mutas, because Serral will play really passively or something. The Lurkers are not exactly getting that much value just yet, though. The Crucibles doing a good job of pushing them back, and Reynor bleeding out a ton of Roaches over here. So the supplies still kind of even, but remember, Defender's advantage very, very strong over here for Serral, as his Roaches are getting here immediately, and the Lurkers are just not really getting that frontline buffer. There's still 2 Lurkers on the right-hand side. The Muta's also adding in a good amount of DPS, and there's not that many Queens left over now.
The burrow micro with the Lurkers has been really good.
It has.
Especially without anything like the adaptive talents for them, being able to reposition them like this is really, really good out of Reynor. He's taken the supply lead, starting to crack through. Really, all he's got to do is keep dodging the Biles as much as he can. 2 of the Lurkers are going to get picked off, but all the Roaches on that flank have been destroyed.
Wow. Really close fight there, but Reynor looks like he's starting to eke out a bit of an advantage, and like you said, that burrow-unburrow micro from Reynor to keep those Lurkers out of the Crucibles is massive. I also want to compliment Serral on, in the middle of that fight, actually unburrowing the Spore Crawler in his middle line, moving it forward, so now all the Mutalisks are gone. That is also a huge boon, because the last Queen just went down, and imagine if that Muta was just still picking away at some of the remaining Ravagers.
I still don't really see an easy way here, or really a way for Serral without getting some biles onto those lurkers. Pushing them away is so difficult. Look at that. Raynor's going to move him forward just a little bit more. There's the biles.
Oh, God. Drones be pulled into lurkers. Okay, well, all those drones are going to be out and gone. God. And I think that Reynor is actually starting to do it. He's still got those 2 lurkers barely alive. They're going to be able to pull through.
To the GEE, baby. Reynor up 1-0 against Serral.
Really, really well executed strategy there. Again, like that was a good level of greed there from Reynor to go for the 2-base stuff. Of course, like allowing Serral to get up a faster 3rd base, but then super fast tech up into the Spire, right? Only getting a couple of roaches there for defense and also to sort of sell the story for a bit.
Yeah.
And then going straight into a Hydra den, and then going straight into the Lurker den, while recognizing that Serral's not going to feel comfortable pushing out while his Muta's there.
He was just able to tech up super freely. Like, Serral delayed his lair so much with that fast 3rd. Like, did he think it was going to be some sort of fake out into Ling Flood that he needed all these roaches that he didn't end up using? And no, that was a really weird game. It seemed like Serral had no idea what was going on. And I'm sure if we could, you know, gaze into his mind, well, of course, we'd all lose our minds because we wouldn't be able to understand it or comprehend it, turn one of those weird movie things. But I digress. My point is, he probably thought that there was something happening that wasn't. And kudos to Reynor for doing that to him, because Reynor was able to, as you said, he went straight to Mutas, no problem. Went straight to Lurkers after Mutas, like, and he never got attacked, like.
I'm convinced that this was just really, really good preparation from Reynor. Like, I think he's played a bunch versus Serral, maybe on the ladder and stuff. I'm sure he's talked with him. I know he's actually was practicing a bunch with, like, say, Namshar and stuff, who's also really good friends with Serral and understands his playstyle really well. I feel like Reynor has just put in a lot of time and preparation to prepare for this match, and it's already showcasing itself a bit. Now, the question is, does he have more tricks up his sleeve like that? Because Serral's... This is the thing. Serral's not dumb. Serral is a really smart player who went on a ridiculous winning streak.
The world champion is not.
Turns out he's pretty damn smart, and he has the ability to also potentially adjust to things like this. You can't just pull the same trick over him twice in a row, right?
Do you think Serral gets crazy aggro now?
It's hard because I'm not actually 100% sure exactly what the adjustment would be, because do you just go for a faster roach attack there and
just
say
do the same
hit him
thing,
while there's still the Mutas
do
there?
the same thing but get the Nidus. If he was if he had like tried to Nidus him there with the Muta build, I think he could have what would Nicholas Plot say? Bop. He could have bopped him.
Could have bopped him.
Yeah, that other thing from the 90s. In the top left of Year Zero, my wonderful map that reminds me of a giant asteroid hurtling through the space, we have the red Zerg player. He is Reynor.
And spawning on the other side of the map, we have in the top right-hand corner, the blue Zerg player currently sitting down 0-1, our WCS champion from 2018. He is Serral.
All right, Fear Dragon, I need you to answer this question as quickly without thinking as possible, all right?
7.
No, not that fast. If this map were to crash into a planet, it would be a catastrophic event, probably, right?
Yes.
But if it were to be blown into a million pieces, probably not.
Yes.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be as bad.
Who would you have on that
piece,
crew?
I mean...
Who would you assign to such a task?
Well, certainly not astronauts, because they're not really good at getting their hands dirty. No.
We need some.
I'm thinking some
rowdy.
Yeah.
Group of guys.
I'm talking blue collar Americans straight off an oil rig that really know how to drill deep into rocks.
Yeah. So like Bruce Willis or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's so funny.
Yeah. Because you know that eventually something's gonna go wrong. Someone's gonna need to sacrifice himself.
Yeah. You need the kind of guy on your team that could clear out Nakatomi Plaza, if you know what I mean. ZvZ is my favorite. You just talk about random stuff until someone tries to kill the other player.
Which oftentimes is pretty quick, but it looks like this game we are going to see a bit of a change up here. Reynor not going to do the same trick as last game. He goes for Zergling speed. And of course, Year Zero, a slightly different map than the last one, just because your natural expansion, it's on the high ground, so you have that little ramp leading up. In some ways, it can be a little bit easier. It's also a much wider map, so it takes a lot longer to get across the map. Even for these speed links, it takes just a few extra seconds longer. But fast third base for either player.
Yeah, this is like the split turtley map of this season, right? It feels to me like most of the games on this one.
You know what my favorite thing on this map is?
What?
I want everyone listening right now
What, is it
to
just
try doing this
is it
on the live.
Tastosis not knowing who Amon is?
That was a fascinating thing to discover. But no, it's a so let's say you're Reynor, right? If you look at the bottom right-hand base and then just like a little bit to the left of it, there's one of the bases on Serral's side of the map. A little bit to the left, a little further down to the left. Boom. If you are Reynor, you hide that base. No one ever scouts this. Like, I'm saying I've played...
You ninja that one?
Every single time I play this map, I ninja that base, and it doesn't get scouted about 96% of the time.
I always want to call people out for those types of comments, but I've watched Rotterdam stream, and I believe it is possible to take any base as a ninja and not get scouted for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna agree with you there.
As someone that does, I take a ninja base almost every single game with DT base trades, like,
yeah,
that's awesome. We do have +1 melee coming out over here for
Hey,
Reynor.
I was talking about this last game.
Yeah.
I love these builds. These are really fun.
Now, Reynor did kind of have his lings out of position, but he has a few. He should be able to start pushing some of these lings back, or at least buy some time for the queens to get here. After that, as long as he controls the lings well, he should be able to push Serral's lings back. So it's not a scary moment or anything, but there are a couple of banelings being made now. For Serral, I mean. Where are those banelings? Are they actually? No, they're defensively. So Serral is just kind of poking, prodding, forcing out a few extra lings, but Reynor is going to start flooding out lings pretty soon with that +1 melee, getting up the baneling nest as well. This is going to be where Reynor tries to pile on that aggression.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hyped to see this. The utility of the Zergling lasts so much longer in this matchup when you open up with this early melee upgrade.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do it. Like, you could just invest into your ranged upgrades earlier and so forth, but if you're able to slip lings in at any point, it is very rare for there to be Carapace upgrades in any capacity in this matchup if the game doesn't go crazy long.
And I feel like if you're going to talk about players that can make use out of lings,
Reynor
sure. is the player. He is the player. It is his
I'll be fair.
animal.
I think both of these players are very big on that in every matchup. But Reynor in particular, we've seen him do it already in this tournament. Yesterday, if you didn't catch his games, he was doing his thing. Just lings getting all up in everybody's business.
+1 melee, or now finished up. So Serral, he's a good player. He's going to have clicked on Raynor's lings, at least if he hasn't already, he has probably by now, and should realize the +1 melee was research. And it's not going to be a Roach Warren thrown down here for Reynor. He gets +2 melee. He's going to take a 4th base, and I wouldn't be surprised to see an eventual Spire follow-up over here and to just go into the really, really fun. Actually, no, it's going to be Lurkers instead. So he's going to go into Lurkers, which will be a kind of easier way to defend particular bases and stuff, while the lings are just constantly getting counterattacks in.
Yeah. Oh man,
I love this style.
This lurker play is so cool to see. So the tricky thing is, it's like, yeah, you got the attack upgrade for the Zerglings, and that's nice and all, but
Banelings?
the Banelings are still going to one-shot him. However, you're forcing Serral to spend his gas on Banelings, which really not the most desirable unit long-term. Ooh, but
There's
maybe this is where it gets interesting. The Nidus network coming in.
Oh, God. You know what? I'm going to proposition something for you, Nate.
What?
So the Nidus Swarm has a lot of armor as it's going up, right? So lings, not even with melee upgrades, not going to do that much damage. And then the lings are fully surrounding that Nidus Swarm. The first thing that pops out is a Baneling.
Insta-Gibbs all of them.
Oh, that is
Beautiful.
a scary thought.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the trick to this, if you want to know, is that whatever you load into the transport first is what comes out first. So if you put all the Banelings into the Nidus before you put the Roaches in, the Banelings will be the first units to pop out.
Now,
that applies to all transports, by the way, if you didn't know.
Indeed, yeah. We do have some lings surrounding a couple of the roaches. We already have the roaches unloading on the other side of the map, and another Nidus Swarm going up inside the main base. So Reynor really gonna have to split up his units appropriately. He has those roaches actually attacking his third base.
Serral's mad. He made Serral mad.
This is, I don't know how Reynor's gonna be able to defend this. He's sitting down a lot of army supply already, and the Nidus Swarm in the main base did get denied, but another one going up at his fourth base. The lings can react very quickly, and +2 melee is also going to help out a lot. And then, oh man, these lurkers are actually going to be so key for him defending his remaining.
The lurker zoning there is really, really nice. If the Nidus was able to get up in the main, then it's almost impossible. You know,
+2 melee, it's helping out a lot.
Yeah, +2 melee, right? So the Nidus has 6 armor while it's tunneling, and Zerglings by default have 5 damage. Now, for those of you who don't know, in StarCraft, you can do half a point of damage per hit if the armor is higher than your attack. So the Zerglings with +2, instead of doing half a damage per hit, are able to do 1 whole damage per hit for your dragon.
Double the damage.
And that does matter. When you've got 20 lings surrounding a Nidus Worm, it makes clearing them out so much easier.
Pulling back some of the lurkers. These, again, are the critical part of the defense for Reynor to keep his bases alive. And remember, while Serral's taking a 4th base now, he was sitting on 3 bases for most of this. So this, even though Reynor lost a base, it's not the end of the world. It obviously wasn't good, and he's playing a style that you really need to just have a lot more units, a better economy to actually try and make this roundabout hit-and-run style work. But
I gotta say, though,
he's doing a good job.
Based on the last game, I am really shocked to see this composition out of Reynor. Because, like, the lurkers, yes, I get it. The lurkers were great last game, too. But it's actually just mass ling lurker, which feels really weird. Look at this +2 attack!
+2 melee is definitely help out a lot. I do want to note that without +1 Carapace, or I mean, I guess actually +2 Carapace at this point, these lings are getting 2-shot by the roaches. That's becoming a problem. He needs those lurkers here to actually take these trades.
Yeah, that needs the lurkers.
Oh,
the lings grab the roaches, hold them in position, and that's okay. Now you can really see the value of the lurkers coming out.
That's such a good composition that complements each other. Exactly what you were saying. The lings roaches in position.
Oh no. Okay, well, Overseer's here, but not killing the lurkers.
He's going to be able to make his way through most of the lings.
A lot of roaches died for that to happen. But
that was a value trade for Reynor, but he's still down a good bit of supply. +1 Carapace finished up, but that's actually not going to be enough to keep his own lings alive. But more roaches show up, and those roaches, more lurkers show up, and those roaches low on hit points.
Uh-oh. Do we have lings to get rid of the Nidus?
He's going to be able to kill it before too many unload.
Yeah. Okay.
Because none of the queens are coming out in these Nidus Swarms, right? So there's no fear of immediate transfuses.
Yeah, it's kind of, oh god, the Nidus it still terrifies me.
He's making banelings. I like this.
The units come out so fast. If only there were banelings in that Nidus to come out first, right?
Yeah. I think that would actually be really big.
That could have ended the game right there. There only been 3 queens to try and take it down.
The nice thing now is that +1 Carapace finished up here for Reynor means that those lings will at least survive with 1 hit point for the first baneling, so at least soak up 1 extra baneling hit with if a Nidus Swarm pops up unexpectedly with a bunch of banelings inside. But Infestor's now out over here. Reynor able to tech up to those, and he's looking to try and maybe catch some of these roaches on the retreat. It doesn't look like it's a small enough army for him to catch it, and he still needs those lurkers to try and take straight-up fights right now.
Yeah, we do have adaptive talents, though. And for those of you who don't know, that is the meme upgrade that basically makes the lurkers insta-burrow.
Yeah, what do you think about the Vipers? I mean, the Vipers can pull out those lurkers from underground.
Vipers are always good. Blinding Cloud Orb Duct, very strong against this unit composition.
That could be the big difference maker that Serral needs to try and finally push through some of these defended choke points by the lurkers.
Reynor and Serral are like the 2 guys that are going to save ZvZ, man. Because this matchup oftentimes ends up being just players butting head with the same units over and over, but these guys have given us a very dynamic series so far. Good surround with the Zerglings. Those lurkers are going to be able to burrow so fast. Literally the fungal at the same time. And that Nidus pops, but not fast enough to save the army. Now Reynor is going to be under assault on the north side. A bunch of roaches getting onto the drones. 4 picked off. The Zerglings are getting the surround. And I don't... did he get adrenal glands? I feel like he's got adrenal glands already, right?
He does have adrenal glands. So those Zerglings attacking extra fast. Those Zerglings rip to shred roaches.
Ripping and tearing.
And once he gets a +3 melee, I mean, there's actually no additional carapace upgrades coming out right now for Serral. So this style from Reynor, he is making it work. He has been down in supply almost the entirety of this game, but it is starting to even out in supply.
His strategy was to open +1 melee Zergling into Lurker Link, which, I mean, I guess I don't watch enough StarCraft. I thought I did, but
oh boy,
it's not something I'm familiar with.
This is where things get complicated, though. Serral now has high energy Vipers over here, so Reynor got to be careful to split up his lurkers effectively to make sure Blinding Clouds don't catch him, and then he also has to react quickly to any of the. Ooh, okay, that nice one going up in the main.
That one's got most of its health. Roaches are going to start gushing out into the main base of Reynor. And, there's the next save. And the Baneling!
Well, I mean, some decent hits over there, but I think there's actually still a decent number of units still left alive here for Reynor, so he cleans up that nice storm. He doesn't actually take that much damage from that one.
Okay.
I think that's actually one really nice thing about the Lings is even on a map as big as Year Zero, look at how fast these Lings get in position. They are going from main base to fourth base to third base.
The upgraded Lings as an answer to the Nidus is really, really amazing because you don't, even though Roaches could do it better, it's hard to get there. Oh, there's the fungal! Zerglings! Get the surround one more time, trying to keep these units from getting away, and the Lurkers right behind to get that insane area of effect. Oh.
That was magnificently done. I have to hand it to Serral because you have noticed that almost all of these engagements, outside of maybe one snipe off there from Reynor, they've all been on Reynor's side of the map. So Serral's the one aggressive, but he loses so many units now. I think that this is going to be now Reynor's time to charge across the map and get even more damage done. And I think he will even be able to snipe off a base or something and still make it home to defend against a Nidus Storm attack again.
Man, if it was only these two guys ever playing each other, ZvZ would be so much more popular.
Oh,
good God.
This style from Reynor is so cool to watch.
Thank you, someone, for doing this. And then the fungal, the cherry on top. Dude, Serral is super dead. This is amazing.
He's going to kill the Nidus Storm. No more counterattacks over here.
Someone just bird boxed, like opened my eyes, and I see everything in a new light. Reynor takes the 2-0 over Serral. And
wow. He's undefeated. He's undefeated in the group right now.
Can any of the Zerg streamers do that style in ZvZ? I would watch a lot more Zerg play.
I know, Reynor doesn't stream enough for us to get
I would watch a lot more Zerg play if I could see ZvZs like that all the time.
Okay, so Nate, let's talk about that series real quickly. Game number 1, it's a cool style, it's like a cool idea and everything, but I do think that there are a lot of ways to maybe deal with that. Like, I think that there are maybe earlier attacks you can do if you see that like super greedy tech up to lurkers.
Oh, of course.
That second game though, that is just a really cool style. I have not really seen that much before, if ever. I've seen like Mutaling. I haven't seen Lurker Ling to that degree before.
I don't even know. Was that a thing? I don't even know if that was like a thing in Brood War or whatever. Like I don't know, man. That was a really weird game. It was awesome. I love seeing upgraded Zergling play, as I mentioned in the first game. I love seeing it. And then to see the way that Reynor did it, Raynor's like, you know what? Let's go really upgraded Zerglings. Yeah. And it was awesome.
Oh,